Hello and welcome to another Drive-In Double Feature. I'm Ryan.
I'm Nathan.
And this is the podcast where we talk about two movies a week every Tuesday and Thursday. But before we get into anything, we have a Patreon over patreon.com/driveindoublefeaturepodcast. It's just some fun content out there we're giving to you patrons out there as a thank you for helping us out, for giving us some streaming services. It's just a couple of fun quizzes, fun times. That's so much so that you know what, this content's way too good for free, so we had to put a paywall on it. So
of course,
that's a huge thank you for that. But don't worry, if you love our boring free content, it will not be affected at all. But anyway, today we're talking about 1980s Prom Night, directed by Paul Lynch, starring Oscar winner Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yes, now, Oscar winner Jamie Lee Curtis. She won for this, right?
Yeah, but she now when she got on stage, she said, "I wouldn't have been up here if it wasn't for Prom Night."
Yes, that was a beautiful speech.
Yeah, and then they played her off with the Prom Night theme song.
Yeah, I wish.
But no, it is Prom Night, and everything is all right. And things will only get better.
Yes.
So Nathan, I got my tux on right now. It's a nice, crushed blue velvet tuxedo.
Oh, nice.
And I got you this corsage, Nathan. I hope you like it.
Wait, I'm going to prom?
You're going to prom. I got one waiting outside.
Oh my God, we're gonna crash some kids' prom, some high school prom, just two podcasters rolling up. I'm excited.
Now, do you think that, I guess they wouldn't let two adult men into a high school, but can you I wouldn't want to do just sit at one of the tables and we could have recorded this episode at a prom.
That would have been pretty good. I mean, there's like proms that I
was just gonna say let's just go to a gymnasium somewhere. We just start cruising high schools on Saturday nights and see which gymnasiums are open.
See if they left the doors unlocked.
See if there's people going inside, if there's lights or whatever.
Yeah, okay, sounds good. Well, sorry, we didn't do that. We recorded at home. We stayed home from prom.
Yeah. But seriously though, very serious. The reason why I picked this movie is that I was out having dinner with my dad one night, and it was Saturday, and this is just like a week or two ago, and all of a sudden we were just eating there, and then just all these people were in tuxedos and stuff. It was very young looking people in tuxedos. And we asked the waiter, what's going on? He's like, oh yeah, it's prom night. So I was like, let me just store that away. I remember that movie.
I like that. Well, thanks, high schoolers, for the movie choice.
Exactly. But this is my second time seeing this movie.
Okay.
Cool. Have you seen Prom Night before?
No, I have never seen this one, so this was a very first watch for me.
Well, terrific. And if you're not aware of what Prom Night is, it is a slasher movie. And
a slasher? On Drive-In Double Feature? Sorry.
I know. It's so never untreaded waters.
Mm-hmm.
It's a slasher movie set during prom night, and the whole movie takes place on prom night in one day.
Another kind of a real-time movie, right? Not really. Well, at least a one-day movie. I like a movie set in one day.
Yeah, this is like Ferris Bueller's Day Off. You're like, one day, yes.
Yes, yeah, and that day is prom night. Well, technically the beginning of the movie is a different day. The first couple minutes.
Well, yeah, 6 years ago.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah,
It's 6 years ago? They look much younger than 6 years ago. Well, the high schoolers in this movie do look like they are not high schoolers. Classic movie logic.
Oh yeah. Well, it says like they're like 10 years old at the beginning of the movie. So that means they're 6 years have passed and they went from looking like 16-year-olds to late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah, they really do look like 30-year-olds in this movie.
These do not look like young people at all.
No.
But no, it's at the very beginning of the movie, a young girl is playing hide and seek with some friends. They start teasing her, and I don't really understand what this game is they're playing, because I thought they were playing hide and seek, but then they call it killers or something, and then they corner this girl and they just start saying kill, kill, kill over and over again, and the girl just falls out a window.
Yeah, that's what it's kind of like. They're just playing in an abandoned place, and yeah, just the whole time like there's a killer on the loose. I don't know what the game is. It's a quite scary game, but yeah, this little girl does fall out the window and lands on a mirror and dies. And I really do like, there's the one shot where she's dead on the mirror, and you can see that there's a shadow behind her on like in the camera. I do think that's a nice touch.
Yeah. And that mirrors and glass kind of play a big part for the killer's weapon in the movie. So it's like a metaphor.
Really? Okay. This movie's a lot deeper than I thought.
I know, just dripping with symbolism.
Yes, it is.
But no, then the movie skips forward 6 years because the little kids are like, "Don't tell anybody we did this," and then they run off.
I was like, I've seen this plot before, and I was like, oh yeah, I know what you did last summer. Is this movie?
Yeah, it's almost the same movie. I mean, it's the except the killer in that one was, well, it was the killer. That was the dead body, but
yeah.
And this one, it's a different person. But they skip forward 6 years. Jamie Lee Curtis is right there. She's holding her Oscar at the beginning of the movie,
pointing at it. They went back and retroactively put in like opening credits, Oscar winner Jamie Lee Curtis.
They just do that for every single one of her movies, just like a YouTube thumbnail. It's like a circle with an arrow pointing at her, Oscar winner.
And it's for like her garbage movies.
Yeah.
And then any movie with her mom, it says Oscar winner's mother.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Can't wait. But no, she's the girl that died. Jamie Lee Curtis was the girl's older sister. Mm-hmm. And she does have a brother as well named Alex, who's also there. And her dad, played by Leslie Nielsen.
That threw me off. This is not funny, Leslie Nielsen. This is broken dad principal Leslie Nielsen.
Well, this came out the same year as Airplane, so this is right before we get into the funny Nielsen era. But he's very, very serious. There's not any comedic moments in this one, and
I do want to say I did watch behind the scenes thing, and supposedly he was a jokester on set. Though he had a fart machine, I guess, that he carried around with him, and like anytime he was with people, he was constantly playing it. So he was just always a joker, I guess.
Well, that does track actually, because I do watch some interviews with him, and he does, like, when he goes on like talk shows, he does have like a little fart thing, and he does like, oh yeah, I just farted, I'm an old man, you know, it's funny. And just
that man, I guess that man just always liked fart humor for his whole life.
What a legend.
He really, I love Leslie Nielsen. So
yeah, but he's definitely not the star in any sort of way. He's just very, very much a supporting character. Doesn't even have like a lot of scenes, really. I mean, he shows up in the very beginning of the movie because he's the school principal as well. And then once prom gets going, he's kind of fades into the background.
Yeah, he stops being a focus. Because what's surprising about this movie for a slasher, it's very character driven for the first hour. It's more about building up the world and the story and the characters before the violence even gets started.
Yeah, well, because I was wondering, they were kind of building up this other killer that was in that wasn't seen. They're like, oh, there was a sexual predator that originally
Mhm.
murdered Robin or whatever her name was that ended up dying,
Mhm.
and they're like, he's on the loose. He's gonna be on the lookout. So you're kind of thinking in your head, I guess, if you're into that 1980 sensibility, is that this is the killer because there's not a ton of red herrings back then, maybe.
Yeah.
And you're thinking this guy's going to show up because there are scenes of these characters being stalked or being called on the phone or something like that. And you're kind of thinking like, oh, like, who is that? Is that the crazy guy that's on the loose?
Mhm.
And but that's who they want you to think the killer is.
Yeah, that's what they want you to think. But do we people that have 40 years later? No, of course not. I was like, no, there's no way. It's gonna be a twist. It's gotta be a twist ending.
Well, and then only that, they have another red herring because they also have the creepy janitor that
This
also
this
there.
one, I was like, no, there's no way. Because yeah, there's just a creepy gent. He's like disabled or something, and like he can hardly speak. And they like moon him at one point in one of the silliest scenes is when the girl pulls down her pants in front of him. And I was just like,
Yeah,
I felt bad for this guy because at the end of the movie, I mean, this is late in the movie, but he's like saying, there's a killer on the loose. There's a killer on the loose. And they're like, he's had too much to drink. We got to get him out of here.
yeah, that he ends up getting uh shoved out of the way, but they want you to think he's the killer, maybe.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, honestly, the killer in this one is pretty obvious, I think. I mean, it's
Yeah, I always talk about this. I'm really bad at predicting movies, but this one's it's very obvious what it is or who it is.
because there's very limited characters because there's four people that were involved in the death of Robin. So it's like these three girls and one boy,
Mhm.
and you're like, okay, well, it can't be one of them, and I doubt it's going to be Jamie Lee Curtis. So I don't think it's going to be Leslie Nielsen either. So
Yeah, especially when you because you do end up seeing the killer and his build, and he looks smaller, and I was like, okay, it's not Leslie Nielsen, okay. Um,
so but by all the people I did mention, you could figure out who the killer is even by what I just
yeah.
said. So
Well,
uh,
except there's a really great character that pops up early in this movie. Probably the best
oh go
character in this movie. Um,
oh
I'm
go ahead,
I,
please.
I'm forgetting his name right now, but it was Slick is his nickname. What's his full name?
Oh, that character. I thought you were thinking of somebody else. I was thinking of a different
Oh,
character.
you were? Oh, we had different favorite characters. Oh,
No, I did like Slick, but I thought you were gonna say the jerk guy or whatever, Lou or
oh,
whatever,
Lou
the
and
jerk.
yeah, Lou and the other guy and the girl are wonderful in this too. But no, Slick is just a funny side character. He's like a chubby, curly haired kind of nerd, but he's super cool. And he like it just rolls up to this lady. He's like, "Hey, you want to go to prom?" And she's just charmed by him. He like nobody makes fun of this character. In any other slasher, this character would be made fun of, but everybody loves this guy in this movie.
He gets laid in the
Yeah,
movie.
he does. He's one of the few people that actually has sex, and he has joints in his car and everything. He's a cool dude.
Hey, PSA out there, if you're ever feeling down on yourself, you're all kings. Just
Yes,
believe in yourself. That's
it's
and that's and if you got self-confidence, then people, you just radiate. People love you.
yeah, it's true. It's true. And I mean, hey, I love this character, but yes, there are two other characters, Lou, and then oh god, I forget the name of the girl. Do you remember?
Wendy,
Wendy.
right?
Wendy, who absolutely hates Jamie Lee Curtis, like despises her. I think this woman wants to like kill her almost because she's taken her title as prom queen because Jamie Lee Curtis is the prom queen, and then Wendy has had it stolen away from her.
Oh yeah, and because the guy Lou, he's a total jerk, very much a creep, and he's like
Mhm.
creeping on Oscar winner Jamie Lee Curtis, and he the part that I thought was funny. So he's creeping on her. Her
Mhm.
brother Alex steps in and trying to like get away, leave my sister alone, and they get into like a big fight or whatever, and they get sent to the principal's office, and
Mhm.
Alex is Leslie Nielsen's son, and it's funny because Leslie Nielsen starts talking. It's like, you've been a menace to this school, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, here we go. He's like, what? Did you think I was going to give special treatment to my son? Well, you're
Yes.
right.
I thought that was a great line because I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting like, oh no, you're both expelled or suspended. But no, it's like, yeah, I am giving special treatment to my son. So good. But yeah, Lou gets kicked out, and then him and Wendy patch up this plot to basically ruin prom, almost like Carrie in a way.
And that's funny because Gene Siskel called this a mixture of Halloween and Carrie.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense, right? Yeah, I mean Carrie's about prom, and then Halloween's a slasher.
And he didn't like it either.
Of course he didn't. I wasn't titillating enough, I guess.
I guess not. He wanted more mooning scenes. But anyway,
Yeah.
um, I do like it though, because there is this dynamic where Lou is just a total jerk, and she's kind of putting up with this because she kind of needs him to fulfill this plot. And he's like, oh well, let's go to the drive-in, or like a little drive-in restaurant or something.
Hmm.
Um, and he's like, oh yeah, give me a couple burgers, a couple fries, shakes, and do you want anything? And
Yeah,
so she ends up having to pay for all of his food.
yeah, and she's like, "I'll have a small diet coke or something like that."
Yeah.
um, yeah, no, I really that scene's kind of like because he stares at like a girl's butt during that scene too. Of course, this movie has to zoom in on it. It's a slasher.
Yeah.
It's
And
kind
she's
of
like, and she also says, she's like, what, you want me to get you one? I'll buy you one of your own.
yeah, yeah. This movie has a few moments like that where it's like it goes a bit. It's not too gross, but it kind of
I,
pushes it because there is a locker room scene, of course, but it's not as gratuitous as I've seen locker room scenes in other
oh,
movies. Yeah,
oh no, this is not nearly as bad as Phantom of the Mall, where it's just
yeah,
girls like practically like comparing breast sizes. So
yeah. No, that does not happen.
no, this one, they there's it's a slasher, but to me it's very much on the safer side compared to a lot of other stuff we've seen. It's very
I agree.
mild.
I
And
agree.
so uh but anyway, everyone gets all ready for prom, and Nick is there. He's the like the one remorseful one of what's happened with Robin, and he's kind of sweet on Jamie Lee Curtis and trying
Mhm.
to get with her. And they have like these really tender like romance scenes.
Mhm.
And I'll be honest, like you said, the movie, like for you said, for that first hour is like almost like a straight up drama.
Yeah, yeah, no, and I kind of like that about this. I was honestly going back looking at people's reviews after I watched it. There, this movie kind of has a mixed reaction, which I was surprised about because I actually quite liked it. I was really surprised by this one. I like that about it. I like that it has a slow build. You get to know these characters, and you get a feel for them. I kind of appreciate that.
I guess my only thing I would have liked it a little more about the movie is I think they should have done at least one of the kills earlier in the movie.
Just to keep
And
the pace up.
because when I say that, I mean there's no kills between the very beginning of the movie until the last 30 minutes of the movie. But I will say those last 30 minutes are very much just like fast paced, like boom, 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 like killer,
Mhm.
killer, killer stuff. So,
Yeah.
but I do think they could have added like a big starting off point to kind of kickstart everything.
Yeah, I will say this movie it's kind of wild because you expect it was probably filmed in 1979. It's very disco centric. It's all about disco and
I
disco
love it.
music. Yeah, it's so wild. Do you know the story about the music for this movie?
Well, I did read that originally they had popular disco songs playing while they were dancing. So
Yeah.
the music that you hear in the movie is not originally what they were hearing when they were on set, and that was just to buy the composer time to write all these, and he wrote all these songs in like 5 days.
Yeah, and the director told him to make songs close enough to the original disco songs that you could recognize it, but not close enough to get sued for. They still got sued for this music, and they had to pay out for it because I guess it was very close to the songs that they were trying to copy.
So which ones were they like? Because there was some I was like, this is really similar to. There was one that sounded just like "I Will Survive."
Yeah,
I remember.
I noticed that one. Unfortunately, I like disco music, don't get me wrong, but my knowledge of disco music isn't like crazy good, so I didn't recognize any, and they definitely didn't say in the documentary they probably can't. But I would like to get a list of that.
Yeah, they don't say which songs like
Yeah.
were the one. I mean, I'm just seeing like, oh yeah, there was a lawsuit. It kind of sounded similar, but we got rid of it, or we settled.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's really hard. It's surprisingly hard to find. You think it would be more noticeable, like you would hear it and be like, "Oh, I know exactly what this is knocking off." But I mean, to me, it sounded like, or when I first listened to it, it sounded pretty original. God, they danced to these songs for so long in this movie too.
I love it. I love it. I wanted more dance scenes. I wanted more disco
Really,
music.
I've,
I wanted the whole movie to be at the
uh,
prom.
that would be a really cool movie. I wonder if the sequels do that. But no, at first I was like, oh, this is cool. I love them dancing. Jamie Lee Curtis is feeling herself. She's like really going at it. But then it goes on for like 5 minutes. I'm like, okay, all right, let's get
Nah,
back to the story.
nah, I want more.
Do you like
I could
Saturday
have.
Night Fever?
I do. I do
Well,
love
there you
that.
go. That now it tracks.
Saturday Night Fever. I thought I told you this. Saturday Night Fever was my very first CD that I bought.
Oh, God, I don't remember you telling me that. That's crazy.
No, that was literally my first. So like, I'm no joke, huge fan of disco music, and
Gotcha.
I, I, I would listen. I bought a CD player just so I could listen to the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack, and I would just listen to it on a loop.
Okay, cool. Well, then why didn't you like disco more?
What?
The Brad Jones movie.
Oh, that one. But anyway, when they finally do get to the prom, they things start moving very fast. There's one scene where a couple is having sex or trying to, and the one girl
Oh,
kind of chickens out, and she's just like, "No, I'm not ready." And the guy just totally is like, "Well, screw you. If you don't, I'm out of here."
yeah.
And
This scene made me feel like angry because she just wasn't comfortable. And then I think he says like, "Well, if you're not gonna let me have it, I know plenty of girls here that will." And I was like, "Oh, that's so awful."
and it's not even like they're somewhere comfortable or somewhere safe. They're in a high school locker room, and they're
Mhm.
they're trying to do it on a bench, and it's
Yeah,
so you can only imagine how comfortable that would be.
yeah.
But no, that happens, and like I said, the other couple, Slick and Jude, go off, and they have their own little
Uh,
sexcapade.
Not little. This scene is like so long. I think it's trying to be like tense, like was someone to kill them at any time because they have sex in the car and then she's like, let's go out on the bluff and have sex. And then he's like, okay. So they go out there and they're doing it in the grass and he's not feeling it. He's like, no, let's not do it. I want to smoke a joint back in the car.
Well, no, he hears a twig snapping.
That's right.
He's like, "What is that?" And she says, "Oh, it's nothing." He's like, "Let's just go smoke some more joints." And she's like, "Okay."
Yeah. And so they go back to the car and then they smoke some. This scene is long. Not that I have a problem. I thought it was funny. I kind of like it when it's like it's kind of schlocky in a way, but it's
I
it's
they're
silly.
both of them are likable enough characters that it
Yeah,
gets a pass.
that's true.
And
That's true.
and that's when the movie starts. The killer shows up, stabs her right in the neck, and then
Mhm.
forces Slick to drive off of the bluffs and to a fiery explosion.
Yeah, and it's like a very small drop too, and this car goes up in flames. It's
It does.
yeah. So yeah, this is where the movie really kicks off. There's some really good kills. It's a lot of hide and seek stuff, like almost like it's a killer chasing after. I think he chases. It's Wendy, and there's a long scene of her running away and hiding, and he catches up, and it's kind of like a back and forth for a good while.
Yeah, and like I said, going back to the original death of Robin, she falls and breaks a mirror,
Mhm.
and that's the killer's weapon of choice is a glass shard,
Yeah,
and stabs it into them, stabs it into their throat, ends up killing the three girls responsible, and after going through this intense dance scene, the killer shows up finally after they crowned the prom king and queen, and
Mhm.
there's a big fight out on the dance floor. Yeah, they have like a little back and forth, and he has like an axe originally, and Jamie Lee Curtis
Oh,
takes the axe and strikes it into the killer's face.
got you. That's what you're talking. Well, I love the part with the head on the ground where Lou gets his head chopped off, and
Oh yeah,
it rolls up and it just sits there and it scares everybody out of the prom. And I love that effect. It's really good, especially because this movie doesn't have a lot of violence in it. As you know, we talked about, there's a lot of drama, so it's definitely like very different for the end of the movie. They get hyper violent.
no, the gore factor is very low, and I
Yeah.
mean, there is blood, but it's not uh very graphic or anything like that. It's, I mean, hell, I mean, even Dress to Kill, which came out the same year, that movie was more violent
Oh
than
yeah,
this
for
one.
sure. Yeah.
But yeah, like the big final sequence, they the killer gets hit with the axe. Jamie Lee Curtis, she figures out who the killer is.
Mhm.
At that point, she figures out who the killer is, and at this point, like us as the viewers are like, you're supposed to go like, oh wow, that was Alex the whole time. Spoilers.
Whoa, yeah, it's not surprising in the slightest. But I mean, it makes sense. I guess at least this maybe not at least, but this movie went for just the yeah, of course it's him. It's revenge. Why wouldn't it be him?
It's at least at this point, I do like, if you're gonna go with the killer being obvious, at least make it believable that they have a motive. That's, I mean, and this character does have a motive at least. It's
Exa-
not like Alice, Sweet Alice, when you're like, who, that was the killer? Like the one woman they showed for like a minute.
Exactly, yeah. And there is a time where slashers were really played into that, but no, this one's I kind of think it wraps up really nicely because he runs out and Jamie Lee Curtis is like, don't shoot him, don't do it, because it's his brother.
The movie plays it very safe, and I think that's totally fine. It's totally valid.
Mhm.
It it doesn't reach levels of greatness. I mean, there's just, it doesn't, for me it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't get into like that upper tier slasher movie, but it's a good solid slasher movie.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is a fun slasher movie. I actually was surprised by it. I enjoy it. Like you said, it's not in the upper echelons or anything, but if you like just a nice, quick slasher movie, it works.
It's like how the song goes. Everything is all right.
Yeah, everything is okay.
And
Right? That's how it goes.
things will only get better.
Ah, yes, yes. Because it's prom night.
Yep. Come and fly me away to a place where we can be together.
Huh?
I love this. I'm quoting the song, Nathan.
You really love this music. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad.
Okay, full disclosure, I have this theme song on my playlist.
Okay. Oh, so it's just the song you really like. There's nothing wrong with that. That's good.
It's like,
Yeah, I mean, it was fun. I didn't think it was bad.
you know what? Whatever song this movie stole from, it's better than. I'm just saying it right now. I don't care what it is. The original song was probably made by some hack fraud. This song is the true original in my
Yeah,
mind.
it's like the Bee Gees or someone important
Yeah.
hacks
Yeah.
losers.
Whoever they stole from, they made their song better.
Okay, well, you're gonna get a lawsuit. You're gonna get us a lawsuit.
If I was the judge, I would dismiss that case and just say, like, yeah, you should thank them.
It's better, so they win. The better song wins.
That's how it works. That's why Vanilla Ice won against Queen.
Oh yeah. Vanilla Ice just did it so bad. It's funny because recording Ed Sheeran just just won a case of copyright, which is
they said, yeah, get back Marvin Gaye.
Yeah, Marvin Gaye, more like bad music. Like,
more like Marvin Lame.
Yeah, there we go. But yeah, no, prom night's cool. I enjoyed it. I recommend it.
Yeah, if you're looking for a slasher movie, it's pretty good. I'd say check it out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's gonna wrap it up for prom night. We're heading back to the limo. They're locking the doors of the gymnasium. Time to say goodnight to your date. But anyway,
yeah, that's it. A kiss and hug goodnight.
That's right. Keep it nice and wholesome. But Nathan, what are we going to be talking about next time?
On Tuesday, we're going to be talking about Looker from 1981. So check that out on Tubi.
Terrific. Can't wait. But if you'd like to send us any other suggestions, comments, approvals, disagreements, send it over to driveindoublefeaturepodcast@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter @DIDFpod. And once again, check out the Patreon at patreon.com/driveindoublefeaturepodcast. But until next time, we'll record next time.
Until next time.